Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Maker and today I am teaching about Cricut Design Space for the iPhone and iPad. This is the Cricut Kickoff Lesson 3 and we're going to go over the primary functions of Design Space so you feel more comfortable in the software, and then we will create something fun and personalized together. Now in Lesson 1, we downloaded and installed the free Cricut Design Space app from the App Store onto our phones and iPads. We created a Cricut ID, or we're signed in with the one that we had, and we did our test cut. Today we're going to dive into Design Space itself and see how it all works. Now before we get too far, I want to remind you about my free Cricut Kickoff Printable Handbook that goes along with these lessons. This is really handy because there is a Design Space map for iPhone and iPad inside that you will find really useful, as well as the directions for today's projects. You can download it right now at CricutKickoff.com. Just register for the class and you'll get the handbook. I will be referring to it as we go along during today's lesson. So please pull up a chair in my studio and let's get started. So what is Cricut Design Space? Cricut Design Space is the free companion app to your Cricut cutting machine. Cricut Design Space, or DS as some will call it, lets you design and cut with your Cricut. You can create projects from scratch, use one of Cricut's images, or upload images. And again, this is free software, so even if you don't currently have a Cricut, you can download this software free and play around with it first. If you're doing this along with me, go ahead and tap into Design Space on your phone so you can see what it looks like. Now, Design Space for iOS looks the same on the iPhone and the iPad. The only difference is that the iPad has a larger screen, so you can see a bit more when you're working. And as I teach, I'm going to show you both my phone screen and my actual phone itself, and it's mirrored. So my screen and then the phone itself, and I do that so you can see where I am tapping or dragging right on the phone. So we begin by opening up Design Space for the iOS app. It's right down here. We did this in Lesson 1. You should find your icon somewhere on your home screen, right? If you're in another app, let's say you're in Safari right now and you're not sure, like it's totally fine. The way that I get to them, like sometimes you'll have a button down here, but on my phone I actually have to kind of swipe up to get to it, and then you can go like this. If you just installed it, it could be at the very last page, okay? I've moved mine to the front so it's a little bit easier to see. So it's right here. And again, if you're not sure how to get it or install it, it's all in Lesson 1. So we're going to tap on that to open it up. And this is what it looks like, because in Lesson 1, we created our Cricut ID and we set up our Joys or whatever cutting machine we used with it. So this is what it looks like after you've installed it and registered your machine and all that good stuff. So this is the home screen. This is the hamburger menu, and this is where your settings and machine selection are. So I'm going to tap on that right now, and you'll see we get a menu that comes off from the left. At the top here is our machine selection. And so if you have multiple machines, this is how you would change it. Right now I have my Joy selected. And then machine setup, if you get a new machine, you can actually come right into here and set it up here. You don't even have to go do it the way we did it in Lesson 1. Or if you just went right to Design Space, you can come back here and do your test cut again if you'd like to. And then Cricut Access, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is there. And then various other settings, calibration for print and cut, managing custom materials, that's important if you need to change your settings like at the base level. And then of course signing out and everything, help and feedback about all that stuff. So for example, if I click on machine selection right now, you can see that I can change it to one of the other machines, all of which I do actually have connected to this one little phone right now. We're going to focus on the Joy right now, but I can actually cut to all 5 of my machines right now. So no matter what machine you have, you are covered in this class. So we click on cancel up here in the upper right corner to have that go away. All right, so as I said, this is your home screen. This is what you see. Right here, this big green button here, this is where you'll start a new project. But as you scroll down here and you'll see lots of cool ready to make projects. That's what Cricut calls these. So there are lots of cards because of course I've selected the Joy. You'll see different projects based on which machine you've selected. But I have the Joy and people love to make cards on the Joy, so we have lots of those. Mugs and all sorts of cool things. So you can just scroll like this if you want to. But if I want you to notice this little icon right here. Can you see that? It looks like a settings, or it's like a little lines with little circles on it. That will access more things for you on your home screen. So by default, we're seeing all categories right here, all categories. But if you want to see your projects in the cloud, it's right here. So anything that I've uploaded to Cricut Design Space servers on any of my devices, so long as it's my account, and this is my account, I click on that and I will see all of my stuff. You can see all of my projects from December, lots and lots of things. It goes all the way back to the very beginning when I started using Cricut Design Space. So, and we just tap that again to go to my projects on this phone. I don't think I have any. I don't really save them on my phone. I don't have any. I don't do that because I like to access my projects from anywhere, and I want to save them into the cloud. The reason why you might save your projects onto your iPhone or iPad is so that you can use it offline when you don't have internet access. And my favorites are favorite projects. Same thing for my ready to make projects. And then of course down here you can get more specific about the kind of projects that you want to do. All right, so let's go back to what you would see, which is all. That's the default. So you see all categories when you come into Cricut Design Space on the app. By the way, I just want to note so that no one is confused. If your iPad is like, well, it looks a little different, it's only because you have more screen real estate. So it can show a little bit more. Otherwise, it's the same app. All right, so most of the time you're going to come into Cricut Design Space and you're going to want to click on this big green new project button. All right, so we're going to go ahead and tap on that right now. And that brings us to our canvas. This is where you design anything that you want to write or cut or foil or any of the other things that you might want to do. That's all from this screen. So this is your canvas. You can see these grid lines here, and you could always toggle between your home screen and your canvas screen with this arrow right up here. So if I tap that, I go back. If I want to go back to my canvas, I just tap on canvas, just like that. So you can go back and forth. All right, so at the top we have our rulers. So this is the ruler across and the one below. And to save projects, this little button right here, we'll save it. And when we're all done and ready to actually make our project, this button here, which is currently grayed out because we have no project, it'll light up and we can click it, okay? Now, let's go ahead and put something onto our canvas so that we have something here. So along the bottom, you'll see an array of icons. So we have images, text, shapes, upload, actions, edit, and then there's more at the bottom. You want to scroll or swipe to the left, and we have sync, layers, undo, redo, camera, and settings, okay? And then actually above it, there is like a sub-menu, and that changes based on which icon you've selected. So for example, if I tap on shapes down here at the bottom right here, that'll bring up my shapes menu, and you can see I have these shapes to choose from. And I'm going to tap on heart. And to make my screen, this is kind of small. I saw someone earlier say, how do you see this? It's very small. So it's helpful to zoom in as you're working. To zoom in on either iPhone or iPad, we use the same, I forget what they call them, but the same finger techniques. So basically we touch and then we spread our fingers apart like this and it zooms in. If we want to zoom out, we go like this and we repeat it. So we just do this, okay, to get it in and out. That's important. And then to move around the screen, right, we just go like this with two fingers. If we want to move our object, we tap it and we move it around the screen like this. When we tap it and we see this box show up, that means it's selected. That's the layer that's selected. You can have multiple layers. Around the edges are icons to help you. This icon right here with the X in it, that will remove it from your canvas altogether. So if I tap that, it's gone. It's delete. It's essentially delete. I can undo what I just did, however, with the icons at the bottom of the screen. And right here is the undo icon. And I'm going to tap that and it's going to come back. Yay! Undo is your best friend. You will often just make mistakes, things you didn't mean to do, or you change your mind and you want to undo that. So there is undo. And it's tap it again to select it again. So this is the lock icon. And so right now, I can change the size of this with this icon, which is the resize. And if I tap, I can resize it. And you'll notice that no matter what I do or where I move my finger, it maintains its proportions, right? But if I tap on the lock icon, and so it's unlocked, so I'm going to unlock it by tapping on it. When it's unlocked and then I resize it, then I can do this. And I can have a tall heart, I can have a short heart, I can have whatever. And if I want to undo that, again, I just tap on undo and I go all the way back. And I can lock it again. I'm looking to see if it's locked right now. Now it's locked again, see? And then up here, this one right here, this is the rotate button. So I can tap on that and I can rotate it on my screen. See that little yellow line? That's a guide to tell you when you've reached one of the increments. So like this is telling me I've got it straight up and down. And this is telling me I've got it at a 45-degree angle. And this is telling me I have it at a 90-degree angle. And I'm referring to, let's see if I can get it to come up again. Oops, I just made it bigger. It's undo. You're going to use undo a lot. So I'm going to try, oh right, rotate is up here, of course. So I'm going to rotate it again. And I want to make sure you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this yellow line right here, okay? So this is just a handy thing to help you keep it in position. So let's undo back to it straight. So that is the selection box that shows up around any layer that you have. So you can use this to manipulate a specific object. Now there's lots of other buttons along the bottom as well. They do lots of other things. But let's tap on the edit button because we've been editing this heart. So the edit button is right down here. So I'm going to tap on that. And that actually gives us a lot of options and they're specific to an individual layer. So the first one is to change the operation of what it's going to do. So by default, pretty much everything we put on our canvas is going to be a basic cut. That is, and anything we upload is basic cut. It assumes that by default we want to cut something. So always keep that in mind because if that's not what you want to do, in your mind you have to think, well, I'm going to change that, right? So if we want to change it, we just tap on it. And right here at the top, we have a menu. We tap that and we can choose from, and it depends on our machine, okay? I'm connected to my Joy right now. Two options. I can cut or I can draw. So I'll change it to pen right now. I can pick a pen color. I'll pick Very Berry and tap apply. And now it changes to an outline because that's what it will look like when it draws, right? But we're going to tap undo and go back. All right, so we can go, so let's go back to the edit menu. So we can change whether we're going to cut it or draw it, or if you have the Explorer, you can do other things. And if you have the Maker, you can do even more. So if you have more than one machine and you're not seeing all your options, it's likely because you have the wrong machine selected. And remember to change your machine, you come back here, tap on the hamburger menu, right? Tap on machine selection, and let's switch to my Cricut Maker 3. Go back to Canvas, and now I'll select it and tap on basic cut operation. And now you can see all of the options I have for what I want to do with this layer. Okay, so lots of options. But we're going to cancel it and we'll go back to the Joy because that's important. We're focusing on the Joy today. And so back to the Joy. I might switch back and forth as we talk, of course. And back to the canvas. This is really pretty. I consider Design Space to be really user-friendly software. I don't care what anyone says. I've heard people say that they don't think so. I've been using software since the late 80s. I have seen it all. I've seen it all. I think this is awesome software. I love it, and I find it very easy to use. It's okay if you don't. That just means you need some practice with it, and that's what I'm here for. All right, so we have our hearts now in this edit menu. And so again, I've tapped on edit. So every time I tap on it, this little sub menu comes up at the bottom. So I have more options besides changing what it does. I can actually change its size right here. So if I don't want to rely on my finger to be able to drag it to the right size, I can actually type it in. So you can tap right here and put in your width and height. And this little lock icon right here is the same as this lock icon, right? So you can lock it or unlock it. And then you can also rotate it. And again, you can tap on that to actually put in a rotation number. And you can change its like height, like where it is on your canvas if you want to, rather than just moving it like this. So there's a lot of options here. And then there's other things as well that we will be able to see once we have more than one item. So things like arrange and distribute, align. And then there's flip horizontal and flip vertical. All right, so we would need to have more things to see those. So let's duplicate our heart. So to duplicate it, we want to have it selected, but we're actually going to go to one of our other menu items, and we're going to tap on actions down here at the bottom right here. I'm going to tap on actions, and there's a lot of things that we can't do. They're grayed out right now, but one thing we can do is duplicate. Okay, so we're going to tap on duplicate, and that will give us a second heart. There we go. There it is. So there's two there. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we can see them both, and which is awesome. Now let's change their colors. They're kind of hard to see. I'm going to tap on edit again. And that brings us back to our menu. And I showed you how to select the heart by just tapping on it, right? There. What if I want both of them? What if I want to change the color of both of these hearts? I can do that by dragging a box around them with my finger. It's like an imaginary box. But if I tap on outside of the hearts, outside of the layers, and just tap and hold and drag, it drags this box. See this box that I'm making with my finger? We usually call it a bounding box, but you can just call it a box. And it will select anything that you cover with this box. So there I now have two hearts selected. And I can change the color of these from the default gray with this little round icon right here. If I tap on that, it gives me my color. So this is also the operation menu. And so I have all these colors up here to choose from. This is the standard Cricut color palette. So I can change it to red. Cool. What if I, however, want a different color of red? Well, I could do that with this down here. And I can have lots of colors too. I'm trying to get this to scroll. There we go. So down here is a whole spectrum. So I can have any color I want. Now, of course, these colors are really just for us for designing. Your Cricut doesn't know what color you've picked. So this is really a visual thing, but different colors will be put on different layers and cut on different mats. So that part does matter. So let's say I love red. I love teal blue. They don't have a good teal blue in their default palette. So I'm going to choose a teal right there and then tap apply. And now I have two teal hearts. And I can, of course, have them be different colors. I can select one and tap it again, and I can choose red and tap apply. There we go. So now we have two hearts on our screen. And now if I tap on actions and I select both, you will see I now have some options at the bottom I didn't have. So by having more than one item selected, now we can do some new things with it. So for example, we'll just go in order. The first one is group. So group just allows you to put things together for organizational purposes on your screen only. So if you group some things, and I can group it right now so you can see, it means that now they're a unit on the screen only. They won't cut together, but while you're designing, it's useful because then you can do things like resize it and they stay together. You can move them around and they stay together. Okay. You can also, of course, ungroup it with the icon right here. So now they're ungrouped, and now I can move them around separate. All right, so select them both again. And our next option here is attach. So if you do want them to cut together on your mat, just like this, you can attach them together. So I can tap attach, and you'll notice they change to the same color. That's because they're going to cut together, so they have to be cut from the same piece of paper or vinyl, same color. So anything you attach should be the same color, cutting from the same material. So keep that in mind. We use attach when, well, we want it to cut together on the mat and not like separate out, right? So that's what attach is for. So whenever you go to make something and it looks jumbled up on your mat, you need to attach it. That's the simplest way to explain it. All right, but we don't want to attach right now. Let's go ahead and tap on detach right there. So now they're no longer going to cut together. All right, so let's scroll on over. All right, so the next option here is Weld. Weld will permanently glue your hearts together. So if right now, I want you to notice that there is a black outline around the hearts. And that means that your Cricut is going to cut anywhere where you see that black outline. So it's going to cut here and it's going to cut here. And if we attach them, it's going to cut. It's actually going to you're going to have a heart and a part of a heart. That's what it would look like. But let's say you wanted these two hearts to actually be stuck together. And instead of like one whole heart and a part of a heart, you want them together like the whole outline. And so for that, we would want to tap on Weld. And you'll notice that those black outlines go away, right? So this is Weld. They're now stuck together permanently. They will stay this way. Now you can't unweld things unless you undo right away. So there's no unweld button. That's important to note. Okay, so instead what you would want to do is scroll over and tap on undo until you get back to your two separate layers. Okay, each of these is a layer. And so now we're back to having the two. So Weld is used when you want, you're not going to ever need to separate them again. We use Weld when we're making cursive letters, we want everything to be attached. We use Weld when we want to make brand new shapes so that there's no cut lines in them now. It's just a new shape entirely. All right, so let's select them both again. Then next to Weld, we have an option called Slice. So Slice will do exactly what it says. It will slice the two layers and only two layers out of one another. And I have only two layers right now. And this is very important. If you have any more than two layers, it won't work. If you don't have two layers selected, it won't work. Slice will only work with two layers because it has to have a bottom layer and a top layer for it to work. So if you're wondering, well, how do I know if I have two layers? Besides because what if there's a layer hiding under there? That can happen, right? So I will introduce you to the layers panel. So down here at the bottom, you'll see an icon called layers right here. I'm going to tap on that. It's going to slide in from the right side. This is our layers panel, and it'll show us all of the layers in our design. Right now we have two layers. They're also both selected. So they're both this dark or medium gray color, right? I can unselect them by tapping on them, and then they change to white. And the box also goes away on the screen, see? And you can open and close this layers panel like this. I can select them from the screen too. I can click here or tap here. I can tap here. One thing that I see Cricut iOS, so iPhone and iPad users get confused about is where things are on their screen. Because when we're zoomed in like this, we're seeing just these things. I want to remind you, if you can't find something, zoom all the way out. I know that's really tiny right now, but if something were hiding on your screen, you didn't see it, that's what you'd want to do. Okay, that's a huge tip for anyone who's new. Okay, but we'll come back in. All right, so we were working in the Actions menu. So let's go back to Actions. All right, so we have done Group, Attach, Weld, and Slice. Yes, we're working on Slice. All right, so yes, for Slice, you need to have just two layers selected and no more. Be sure to check your layers panel to make sure you have just these two and they're both gray. That's very important. If you have a third one that is hidden and you've forgotten about, slice won't work. It'll be grayed out and it'll be confusing. So let's go ahead and put our layers panel away. I usually do that when I'm working on my phone because it kind of takes up a lot of space. All right, and then I'm going to show you what slice looks like. So I'm going to tap on the slice button right here. There we go. I had to wait until it, and I know it worked after it turned gray because I can't slice them anymore. All right, so now I'm going to deselect this and I'm going to pull these all apart. So it literally sliced these things out, sliced the center out. So this is typical. So after you slice something, and I'm going to go to the layers panel so you can see, you'll get these sliced images, right? So usually you just want to delete the things that you don't want, so you can tap on them from right here, and then there's a delete button here. Of course, you can tap your X over here. Just zoom out a little bit. You can tap the X here, or you can just do the delete button right here. So I'm going to delete that and delete that, and that leaves us with these two kind of crazy shapes here, which is, yeah, I don't know, whatever. Those kind of look silly, but it was kind of something like that, right? There we go. Whatever, who knows? I do want to note that I made a completely new shape in both cases. So slice is amazing for making new shapes if you need to. All right, so let's go back and undo all of that. There we go. So we're back to our two hearts. And then we'll go back to the action menu. Oh, where we were there. Anytime you tap on it, when you've already been there, it just puts it away for you. We'll select them both again. And so actually what I want to show you is a couple of things. Let's change the color of one of our hearts. So we go back to the edit menu. Sorry, here we go. Edit menu, change it to red. All right, and then select both. Back to actions. We should be able to flatten that. So flattening is used for when you want to do print then cut. So right now I'm using the Joy. The Joy can't do print then cut, so I don't have the option to flatten. So that's very important. So if you have multiple machines and you are designing for your other machine, but you're like, have it still set to your Joy, you're going to want to switch over to the other one. Otherwise you'd be like, where did my stuff go, right? So that's important. So I can switch over to the maker right now so that you can see that. We can do the flatten. And there's actions. And there is the flatten button that's now active because we're now selected for a machine that can do print then cut. And so if we tap flatten, I want you to notice that the black lines have gone away. And what we have now is something that we would print out, and then our Cricut would cut along the edges of this. So it wouldn't cut out both hearts. It would cut out this kind of double heart image. And that's a whole other thing, print then cut, but that's what it would do. So that is flatten, and we can unflatten right here. So we can go back to having the two layers. And then of course we can duplicate, which I already showed you. Now I also want to show you, let's see, so I can't show you advanced right now or contour because those are more advanced things, and I don't want to overwhelm you, so we'll stop there for the hearts. But just know that you can do some more things under advanced, which is typically for things like when you're text. We will work with text today. And then contour is used when you want to remove parts of an image. So this is my Cricut Kickoff book. This is my Cricut Coach Playbook. I know you can't see it so well, the screen is really big, but I can show you a really quick image of what contour looks like. By the way, the green pages are all for desktop, but we're on the iPhone right now. So I have everything in here for how to do all the things, right? So in contour, you can actually start with the heart like this and use contour to remove parts of it until you get this. Okay, so that's basically what contour does. All right, so down at the bottom, so all we've done is play with shapes. But what about images down here at the bottom? So let's tap on images so you can see what it does. So images brings up Cricut Design Space's library of images. Currently today on December 27th, 2021, there are 230 and 238 images, 230,000 images. It's a lot of images. They have grown a lot. And these images are not all free to use. That's important. So there are images that are free for everyone to use. I don't quite remember how many, but several hundred as I recall. And then if you have Cricut Access, you have more images. And then after that, there's even some things beyond that that are licensed images, like Star Wars and Disney and stuff that are not included in Cricut Access. Cricut Access, I'll tell you about that in just a second, is indicated by this little icon right here. See this little flag with the little A in it? That means it's a Cricut Access image, and you can use it while you're subscribed. You can even see the word subscribe down here. So there's it tells you whether you can use, what your access for it is. I'm looking to see if I can see a different one. Oh, here we go. Here's one that's free. However, you can see that it says the word free. Now, it still says Cricut Access, so it's still a part of it, but it's also free. Now, I want to make sure that everyone understands that free does not mean free forever. And sometimes they do have some images that are always free, but they also have images that are free for like a week or a month or a special occasion or something, right? So keep that in mind, that you might be able to cut it free today, but if you're not an Access member, you might not be able to cut it, next week or next month or next year or whatever. So Cricut Access is a subscription plan that allows unlimited use of over 200,000 of Cricut's graphics and fonts and ready-to-cut Cricut projects. Access subscribers also get discounts on Cricut.com purchases, a priority member care line to contact when you need help, and special offers on products reserved just for Access subscribers, like mystery boxes. Access is an optional subscription plan that provides benefits such as the access to the images, fonts, and projects for free, and access to licensed images at a discounted price. A lot of people confuse Cricut Access with Cricut Design Space, but they are not the same. Cricut Design Space is the free software that you use to create or upload your designs and cut them on your Cricut. All Cricut Explorer family, Maker, and Joy users need to download and use the free Cricut Design Space software, but they do not need to pay for Cricut Access unless they want it. Most people ask me if I think Cricut Access is worth it, and I think that it is if you will use it. So basically the benefits are that with Access is that you get access to the 200,000 plus images, and new images are added weekly, access to over 500 fonts, including writing fonts, and that is reason enough for me. If you ever have to buy images or font from Design Space, an Access subscription pays for itself very quickly. You also get faster member support, like twice as fast, because you get priority support over those who don't have Access as a perk. You also get 10% savings on product purchases on Cricut.com, accessories, materials, and more, machines also, and also sale items. And you can save 10% on premium licensed images, ready-to-make projects from other brands. Another perk is the exclusive discounts on products like the mystery boxes with the Cricut cutie figures. All right, so if you want to learn more about Cricut Access, because we just sit here and talk about it all day, go to jennifermaker.com/Cricut-Access to get a list of all the perks and answers to a bunch of questions. Now, I do have Cricut Access. You'll see it in my account, and that means I have access to a lot of images and fonts that you may or may not have. You can tell if something is included in Access when you see that small green flag and the letter A in the top left corner. This identifies the item as one that's included with Cricut Access subscription. If you have a Cricut Access subscription, instead of showing a price at the bottom of the image, it will say subscribed. Okay, so that's the big difference. Now I want to remind everyone that you got a free trial of Cricut Access with your new machine. So when you are ready to start using your Cricut, go ahead and get your free trial. To do that, you want to come, and of course I have it, so it'll look a little different for me, but go to your Handbook or menu. Remember, it's this one right up here in the corner, and then tap on Cricut Access. So it's telling me I have it already. And oh, in fact, it renews tomorrow. You know why? Because I upgraded to premium right after Cricut Kickoff last year. And I remember I did it because someone asked, can you go from like monthly to yearly? What happens? And so I did it so I could see what would happen. So yeah, it renews tomorrow. They will send you a reminder when it's about to renew. So keep an eye on that or put it in your calendar so you know. There's actually a page for it in the Cricut Kickoff Handbook, by the way. This is really cool. If you don't have it, make sure you get it. It's right in your Design Space account. The date that your subscription started and when it renews on so that you don't forget it. Like what you could do is print this out and punch it, put it in a 3-ring binder and keep it next to your Cricut along with all the other printables that I make. I have tons of them. You could probably fill a whole bookcase between my various printables and my books and my tutorials, which are all printable too. Okay, so if I want to manage my account, I can tap on manage. But if you want to get Cricut access, you can get it through your phone. Okay, so you can do that. So go back to the canvas right there. And we were in images and we were looking for images. So let's go ahead and take one of these images. I'm going to tap on this football and tap insert. So when I select it and we see this green box get highlighted around it. And then down here at the bottom, it says insert. I can actually put in multiples. If I want, I could have hello neighbor. Let's come to a football party. I don't actually watch football. But if I did, I could do that. But I'm just going to do one. So this would be the football. And we'll tap on insert. So there is our football on our screen. Now I can show you contour. Let's move this a little bit. So there's our football. And if we go to actions and scroll over, you'll see that contour is now available. I'm going to tap on contour and I can now edit parts of this. So I can, let's say, I don't know, I don't want this weird little shadow down here. I can tap on it and instead of it being a black line, it's now a gray line. And that tells Cricut Design Space, I don't want to cut that. And then when I tap on contour again, and by the way, you can go like this just to get in closer and really see things. That can be helpful when you're having a problem just tapping on the right spot. I tap on contour again. Note that kind of weird, it's not weird. The little shine at the bottom is now gone. I can get rid of the shine at the bottom of the other ones as well. I'm going to zoom in here, tap on that, then scroll to the other side, tap on that one, and then tap on contour again. And now that shine is completely gone. So you can customize a lot of images that you find in Cricut Design Space yourself, right? So we've covered now shapes. I use shapes a lot. And we've covered images. There's lots and lots and lots of images. One more thing in here. So there's a setting in here for images. So if you just want to see free images because you don't have access, which is typical when you're brand new, you can tap on free and then close it. And now you see all of the free images. So there's quite a few, right? So there's lots of things here that you could customize and do things with. They have little calendars in them let's put one on so I can see, January 2022. So these are very cute. And those are free right now. I don't know how long they'll be free, but they're free right now. But let's remove that. All right. All right, so now what about uploading files? So one of the things I love to do is design for you. My designs are always free. They're on my blog at jennifermaker.com and you upload them. So I'm going to show you how to find my images. We're going to upload an image, customize it, and we're going to cut it out. So we're going to want to go find it. So to go to my blog, we're going to go to Safari. It is at jennifermaker.com. Okay, so you would just type in jennifermaker.com up here at the top. We'll just do it right now. So it's auto-filling for me, but it's jennifermaker.com. That is where my blog is. I'll tap on that. And this is what it looks like on the phone. Similar on iPad, a little bit more extra space. I keep all of my designs in my library. Now, I don't typically recommend you go right to my library, especially if you're new. Instead, go find a project that you like. I have so many projects. How to make stickers on a Cricut. These here aren't projects. These are more like Cricut Design Space things, but gift ideas. This was really popular in December, like 12 different things that you can make. And so find a tutorial for something that you want, and then it'll tell you the number of the design. For example, if I click on this one and we go down, this is just talking about the project. You can always go right to the design here, but it will come down to the yellow section of the post, which is here. And at the bottom, it'll tell you the design number. So this is design number 362. You see that right here? Design number 362. So you can always find out what design. So, but for today, we're going to go to design number 277, I believe it is. So, and it's in my library. To find my library, by the way, you can tap the top of your, up here to go, anytime you need to go to the top of a page on your iPhone or iPad, you can like press the top and it'll go, scroll up all the way up to the top for you. So to get to my library, you click on this hamburger menu and it takes you to my sort of drop down menu. You see it says libraries right here. There's a little plus sign right here. We want to tap on that. There we go. If you've never been to my library before, it is free. You can tap on get a password and it's like a little form. You give me your name and email address so I know that's you. You don't have to subscribe. You just would unsubscribe after you do it. It's free. I want to make sure it's really clear. But once you have your password, you tap on enter the library. So just like that. And it takes you to the library. I've already put in my password, but if you haven't, you would put it in. All right, so we want design number 277. I think that's it. There's another way to find it though. Let me show you how to find things on the iPhone. What you do is you come up here to where your URL goes and tap on it, and then you delete everything in there. Okay, so now it says search or enter website name. I'm going to put in Cricut Kickoff because I know the project is called that. But you could also put in the number. All right. Now, instead of these parts up here that say Google search, you actually want this one down here that says on this page. This is how you search a page on your iPhone or iPad. So we're going to search for Cricut Kickoff, and that takes us to, yep, design number 277. It's right there. It's highlighted in yellow for us. So this is how you can find any design in my library as long as you know the design number, and every tutorial gives you the design number so you can go right to it. So there's no hunting for things, okay? So what we want to tap on this link right here. So the way I've set up my library, it's all text. And by the way, that is so that you can open it and not be overwhelmed with over 350 images. It would be crazy. So, but they're all numbered. All right, so in reverse chronological order, right? So the first link is always the file, and the second link next to it on the, on the same sentence, whatever, will lead you to the page about it. So the tutorial, or in this case, it's like for Cricut Kickoff itself. So we're going to tap on the first link, and that's going to download a file for us. I'm going to tap it right now so you can see. And this is true if you go find files on someone else's blog or site. So if it says click here to download, right, or what, everyone does it a little differently. You can download to your phone or iPad. All right, so and it even tells me, do you want to download Cricut Kickoff certificate jennifermaker.zip? And I do. So I tap, and it always make sure, just in case you click something or you didn't want to do it. So I'm going to tap on download. And it's going to download for me. And up here in the upper right corner, this little circle with the arrow. By the way, if your screen is a little different than mine, keep in mind, I have the latest version of the OS on my iPhone. I think I do, at least. If you don't have the latest version, it might look a little different for you. You might want to update, okay? So I'm going to tap on this little blue circle here, and it'll show me my recent downloads. This is the easiest way to find them. And it's right there, Cricut Kickoff certificate. I'm going to tap on it again like this, and it's going to take me to my downloads. And when I do that, it will also open the zip for me. It'll decompress it. A zip file is a compressed collection of files. It makes it a little smaller, easier for you to download. and all of the goodies are in there. You need to unzip a file before you can use it. If you are not sure what that means or how to unzip, I actually have a whole tutorial on it that goes into more depth and gives you more examples, and it's called SVGs Made Simple, and it's at jennifermaker.com/SVGS, SVGS, okay? If you need to go look it up and watch the whole thing. But I'm doing it right now too, so you can just follow along. So this is the one that we downloaded right here, but it also opened it up for me, so now I have a folder as well. Actually, there's a whole bunch because I was making sure everything was working this morning. Normally, you would just see your zip file and then your one folder after you've opened it up, decompressed it, uncompressed it. If it doesn't uncompress for you, you can tap on the zip file, and right now I'm in my files section. Let me show you, just in case this part doesn't work the same way for you. I'm in files. You see files right here? So I'm actually in there right now, and I'm in my downloads. You can find your downloads by just going all the way back to like the top, and you want to go to on my phone, and then you want to go to downloads. Is that right? Oh wait, I'm sorry. I want to go here to favorites. I've got downloads right there. So you want to be in downloads because we just downloaded it. So if you need to decompress it manually, you can tap on it and hold it, and that gives you this whole menu of options, and then you can press on uncompress, and it'll do it again for us. So now we have lots of folders. But that's what you want to do. That's very important whenever you download anything that's a zip folder onto your phone, because if you try to upload the zip, it won't work. Okay, so now we have downloaded the file, the design file, and we've uncompressed it. So let's go back to Cricut Design Space. And let's just remove all of these things. I'm just going to select down around them. But let's say I wanted to save these, because I'm going to make an invitation. So to save it, we tap on this little diskette icon right here, and then we can do a save. I'll now do save project as. We could do save or save as, and I'll say heart. And we have the choice to save to the cloud or save to iPhone. I always choose save to the cloud so long as I have, internet access, because that means, first of all, I'll be able to access it on any other device that I have. And it's also being saved somewhere other than my phone. I mean, I could lose my phone. I could accidentally delete it, whatever. So I like to save to the cloud whenever possible. But if you don't have reliable internet, or you think you're going to be going somewhere without it, you could choose save to iPhone. You can also save to both. All right, so I'm going to do save to cloud. So I've saved it now, okay? All right, and it tells me. All right, but let's go ahead and we're going to go back to the canvas and do new project. And it's going to tell me there's already a project on our canvas, but that's okay because we saved it. So I will tap replace. So now we have a nice clean canvas to work with. So we're going to upload that cut file, and down at the bottom, I've showed you images and shapes, actions, edit. So now I'm going to show you upload. I'm going to tap on upload, and we get all these options. We could take a photo of something if we wanted. We could select something from our photo library. You could do those things if you wanted. You could go look at images you've already uploaded to Cricut Design Space, but what we want is browse files because we downloaded a new file, right? So we're going to tap on browse files. And that brings us to our file section, and it may or may not be in the right spot though. So usually I have to go back to downloads, right? You want to find downloads, and then they're usually in order, like from when you downloaded them, to make it easy. So right here is the one that I just uncompressed with you, and inside that are files. Okay, so inside we have, and I've tried to keep this simple for you. The first one, and the only one that looks like we can select it, is this one that says Certificate Jennifer Maker SVG. So this is an SVG file. SVGs are what we can upload to Cricut Design Space. And they are vector files, and they cut amazing no matter what size they are. And that's what most of my designs are in. So whenever you see an SVG, that's the one you want. These other files that are here, these are text files for you to read later on if you want to. I always have an about these files that tells you where to find the tutorial, gives you information just in general on the project. help for Cricut crafters is about the Cricut Coach Playbook, and the Cricut discount code is the link to my page with the code. So you can always find the new code, okay? We don't really care about any of these ones right now. We only care about the one that says SVG, okay? That's the one that we want. If you see other files in there like DXF, you don't want that. That's for other cutting machines. You want SVG, and we're going to tap on it to select it. And if it's correct, Cricut Design Space will upload it. We'll see a preview image of it. It'll tell us that it's set to cut. And then it says right here, each color in this SVG will be an individual cut layer. Awesome, yay, that's what we want. And we have to give it a name. We can't save it without a name. So we'll just call this certificate. It doesn't matter what you call it. It does help if you want to search on it later to give it an accurate name. And then I'll tap done. And it goes into the image library, your personal image library, but it's, in there with everything else. I have a lot of images that I've uploaded over the years. This is how many images I've uploaded. So you'll see there's 3, but that's only because I was practicing this morning to make sure I did this smoothly. Normally you just see the 1 copy. So we're going to select the one that I just uploaded. It'll always be this one in the top left corner. That's always your most recent one. And when it's selected, you see that green box around it, and then you can tap on Insert in the lower right corner. And it appears on your canvas. Awesome. Let's zoom in, and you will see that this is a certificate, and it looks like, I'll show you here, like this. This is what we're going to make today. This is your Cricut Kickoff certificate. It looks like this on one side. I'm going to teach you how to do the text, personalize it with your name, change it to write so you can write it. And then on the other side, it has this really cute, I did it, with a trophy and stars. So this is what we're going to make today. So you can proudly show it off. And I expect everyone to come to our Facebook group and show me your certificate. I love your certificates. All right, so whenever you bring any kind of file into Cricut Design Space and it has more than 1 layer, it's typically grouped. It's just like a default thing. And if I click on it, tap on it right now, you'll see it's all kind of stuck together. That means it's grouped. If we go to Actions, we can see right down here that we can ungroup it. I usually recommend that you just ungroup things because that allows you to work with them and not get confused. So I'm going to have you ungroup it right away. Now, if we unselect, now I can move these things individually. I can move this too. You'll notice my signature is there, and you want that to be there. That's signing off saying you did it. All right, so also one more thing, these are the right size right now. Don't change their size. Also, this yellow one should be smaller than this blue one because I designed this so that when they go together, see how the yellow is smaller than the blue? And they fit, you don't need any glue for this project. That goes right into the corners right here. So this is your certificate cover, and this is your certificate. So all we need to do is get some text on there, right? And of course, you can change the colors of this right now. Let's say I want this to be blue, so I select it. We've got that green box around it. I tap on Edit. I tap the little color box, and I can change it to this blue, and then tap Apply. And if I want this to be a different color, I tap that. I tap the little round thing, and I can tap it to be red. See? You don't have to change these colors, though. You can just put whatever color you want on your mat. Just remember that. But sometimes when you're designing it, it's helpful to see the colors. All right, so text. So we haven't talked about text. Text is right down here at the bottom. I'm going to tap on that. And the first thing it will ask you for is a font. So let's actually, I was messing with it. So what you will see probably is all the fonts. There's a lot of fonts. In fact, these are just the Cricut fonts. If you tap on, and you can tell because the little Cricut up here is selected. If we tap on System, this would be anything that you've installed on your iPhone or iPad. I clearly have nothing installed in here right now. And then All shows you everything. So that's a pretty safe bet. So you can definitely upload fonts to your iPhone or iPad. I have a tutorial on how to do that. It's at jennifermaker.com/fonts if you want to do that. But when you're starting out, you don't need to upload fonts. There's really so many. So when you first open up your fonts menu, you'll see lots and lots of fonts. There's many of them here. If you are not a Cricut Access subscriber, most of these will have a price under them. And even if you are a Cricut Access subscriber, you'll still see a price for some fonts. So I'm a Cricut Access subscriber, and I can use this font here for free, but these fonts here I would still have to pay for. Now, if you want to see which fonts are free, you can tap on the little, right up here, the little circle with the lines in it. That's your filter button. And that lets you filter by a whole lot of different things. So we can just tap on free and then go back. And it shows us all of the free fonts. So all of these are free for everyone to use. I see a couple in here that I haven't seen before. So I want to note that sometimes fonts are free to use for a little while, just like some images are free to use for a little while, but if you come back in a year, it might not be free. However, anything that starts with Cricut, those have been free for the whole time I've ever been using Cricut Design Space. You can count on those. What we want today is a writing font, and we can search for that by going into, we're going to turn off free. Well, actually, I'll keep free on because I want this to be free for everyone. But if we tap on writing, it'll show us a writing font. This matters because we're going to use our pen to write this. And if we don't pick a writing font, we'll get what's called bubble letters. So it'll outline the font rather than write it. And sometimes that's fine, but it looks better when it looks like it was written. So that's what we're going to look for. So we're looking for a writing font and a free one. So let's tap on the arrow here, and that gives us these options here. These are all writing fonts that are free at the time I'm making this video. And I'm going to choose Cricut Alphabet because I think that's always free all the time. So I'm choosing it and just tap on it to choose it like this. And you give it a little time. Sometimes it has to download if you've never used it before. So here it is, and it just comes up and it says text on your screen. This is your cue to put in your text. So what I want you to do is type in congratulations to your name, not actually your name, but your name for completing Cricut Kickoff. Okay, so I'm going to put it in right now. And you'll notice I can't see it anymore. So let's, bring our fingers together so we can see more. Now I've moved off of it. So to get back to the text, I tap on it again. I double tapped on my text. So, and I'm going to keep going. So congratulations. Now to get to a new line, we're going to tap on the return key right down here. And then 2, and I want that to be lowercase. So by default, whenever you go to a new line, your iPhone or iPad will want to uppercase it. So you might have to lowercase it with this arrow right here. And I'll tap in 2 and do another return. And I'm going to do it to me. So Jennifer, space, maker, another return. And it's 4, oops, and that was uppercased by default. So we lowercase it. For completing, oops, and then one more return, and we do Cricut Kickoff. Okay, so there's our text, and we can just tap anywhere on the screen to leave the text edit mode. Again, if you need to go in and edit your text again, double tap on it and you'll get your keyboard again and you can start, typing and changing it. All right, so you'll notice right away, it's way too big for our certificate. It's not centered and it's not in its writing style. If we were to actually do this right now, it's not even like in write mode. So we need to fix this. We're going to do this right away and we're going to tap on it. And I want you to come down here and look at the menu. So it's got our font name. It says Cricut Alpha for Cricut Alphabet. And next to it says style, and it has an R. R means regular. So even though we said we wanted a writing font, it just gave us the font that has a writing style, they didn't choose the font, the writing font style for us. We need to be sure to do that ourselves. So tap on the word style, and it gives you all the styles that the font has. And then down at the bottom, you'll see it has a writing style. Tap that, and it changes to the writing style, which looks like this, okay? So that's the first thing we need to do. And when we do that, it will change to the right operation type, which is to use the pen. But it still doesn't fit, and it's also not centered. So let's center it first. So to center it, we want to go to alignment right here. So we tap alignment. We want to center the text. There we go. So now it's centered. Now we need to resize it. So I'm just going to tap on the screen to go kind of clear things off. So I'm going to use the resize handle in the lower right corner, and I'm going to drag it until it's like close. And then I'm going to tap on this text until I get that. And then I'm holding down on my screen right now. And then I put it on top of the certificate. And now I'm going to zoom in so I can see it a little better. All right, still too big. So let's bring that in further and put it onto the certificate. There we go, that looks great. Let's actually go to the layers panel. And I want you to note that in the layers panel, it tells you what it's going to do. So right now it's set to pen, which is what we want. And it set it to pen when we changed it to the writing style. If I were to go back and change it to regular or bold, it would change it to cut. We don't want that. We want it to be pen. So make sure it says pen right here, right now. Now I want you to look down at the other ways that these layers are going to be treated. So this red layer, the one that has like the trophy on it, it says cut, basic cut. Awesome. We want basic cut. And then down here where you can see my name, it says basic cut. We don't want that to be basic cut. We don't want it to cut out my name. That would be weird. So we're going to change that right now. We're going to tap on it to select it. So I've selected it. Of course, you can also, let's select it there, but we can also put away our layers panel. We can see that there's now a bounding box around it, but we could also select it like this. Okay, so there's two ways to select things. Sometimes that layers panel is easier, especially on a little screen. All right, so we need to change this from the default of cut to draw. This is probably the biggest thing I see people get tripped on when they're doing the certificate. They forget to do this part. So you're not going to forget to do it. So you got it selected so that you've got, we are in the edit menu. We can see it's green. That always tells us what menu we're in. And then we're going to go to the operation menu right here. We're going to tap on that, and it tells us we're on basic cut, right? We're going to select that, and we're going to choose pen instead. And it defaults to black, which is totally fine. You can change the color if you want. I don't usually. It's just for design anyways. It has no idea what color pen you put into it. And then tap apply. So now this layer, if we go to the layers panel, it should say that it's pen, and it does. And then our fourth layer, the blue layer with the words on it, is a basic cut. And we do want that to be a cut because it's cutting out the cardstock. But, so like you might be like, oh, awesome, I'm done. Let's click make it. I'm going to show you what happens if you were to click make it right now. So what you get, first of all, you get this. So we'll just say on mat. I'll explain all that later. I want you to see this so that you can see what not to do. So this is the prepare screen. It shows you what things will look like on your mat. And you can zoom in here too. So just the same way. So what we see is my signature and the text on a blank gray mat. So if we were to actually send this to any of our Cricuts right now, Joy, Maker, Explorer, doesn't matter, it would attempt to write onto our mat itself, not onto our paper. We haven't told it to write on anything. We just told it to write, okay? You can go to the other mats. These are cut, right? There's the blue paper, there's the red paper, but this is not right. So let's go back with the back arrow right here, and we need to attach our pen layers to our base layers. Whenever you do anything extra like that where it's going to be on something else, you have to attach it. So Cricut Design Space knows they should stay together. So it's really easy to do. All we're going to do is drag a bounding box around everything at the top. So the certificate, the whole certificate. So we want to have 3 layers selected. We're going to have the base layer that's currently blue. It's got 4 little stars on the sides. And then our text that we wrote that says congratulations, that's set to pen. And my signature, which is also set to pen. Those 3 layers. And if I tap on layers right now, I can verify that I have all 3 of those selected. Now we can go to actions and we can tap on attach right here. And that's going to attach them. It tells you that they're attached right here. So it says attached set. Awesome. This is exactly what we want. Now, if we go to make it, tap on mat, we see our red mat and our blue mat, just the 2. And the blue mat has our text on it. And then it even says up here at the top that it is going to do a pen and a basic cut, whereas the other layer that's just cut is just basic cut. So that is how we do that. Let's put our layers panel away. Save your work. Right now, save it. So tap on the diskette icon. We'll do save as, and we'll say Cricut Kickoff certificate. You can use whatever you want, but I'll say Cricut certificate and I'll put it that it's certificate and it's for iOS. So I can find this again later if you have questions for me. And I'm going to save it to the cloud. All right, so it's saved. All right, now, and it tells us we saved it. Now earlier I had changed it to a different machine, so let's put it back onto our Joy because that's what we're going to do it on. And because I want to show you something that's very important for Joy. Let's go back to our canvas. It's all still there, okay? Remember, there's your home screen and your canvas. Now, we're going to cut this on the Joy. I sized this to fit your Joy, but remember the Joy has got a pretty small, right, a small area of cut. So it's going to be common for you to do a project and it's going to be too big for your Joy. So I want to show you what that looks like so you understand, okay? So going back to here, I'm gonna make it too big on purpose so you can see. So I'm just gonna select all of it, and I'm gonna zoom out a little, and I'm gonna just make it too big. And I want you to then go notice the bottom, the layers panel. Suddenly we have this little yellow warning sign that's appeared. It wasn't there before. Let me go back to undo so you can see it wasn't there. Oh, it is there. Why is it there? Pen. Oh, I probably had the wrong pen selected. Ah, that's a great point. So the pen colors on the Cricut Joy and the Cricut Maker are like different colors. So there's nothing wrong here. We just need to go to, and because I was I had the Maker selected when I was editing this. So this is important if you are editing in one version and then you go to the other. And it's no big deal. We're just going to go change our pen color. So we tap on edit. And we click on pen operation. We say change because it says the color was incompatible. We just select one of these again. That's it. That's all we have to do. And now we'll see that went away. Okay. So the only things that you'll find that are incompatible on the Joy are your pen colors, because the pens are separate between the Joy and the other makers. So they have their own identifiers in Design Space, right? You just got to go change, go select the other colors. And then, of course, you can have things that are too big. That's the biggest issue. So let's put our layers panel away again so I can show that to you again. All right, so here it is. And here's our layers icon. No warning signs, right? But as soon as I make it too big, that warning sign comes on, okay? So, and what happens is that it'll tell you what it is too. So there's the warning sign on it. So our pen is fine. This layer is now too big right here, right? The issue is pretty much going to be that your size is your issue, because you have to fit it onto a mat, it has to be 4 1/4 inches or less. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put away my layers panel. I'm going to undo back to the size it was. You'll notice the little thing went away, the little warning went away, and we can see here it's gone. Okay, so if you ever see that, most likely your issue is that it's just too big. And so you'll need to select it and use the resize handle to get it so that it is under 4 1/4 inches if you're using your mat, or 5 inches if you're using smart material. That's the guide for the Joy. You can of course go bigger with the Explore and Maker. Okay, so this is good to go. Let's tap Make It. All right, this brings us to a screen that asks us how we want to load it. So remember, the Joy has smart material that doesn't need a mat. If you're using smart material, then you'll choose without a mat. We are not using smart material today. We're using cardstock and our mats. So we would want on mat. Now, the on card mat is for the insert cards. I showed you those yesterday. And multiple ways means you have a complex project where maybe some stuff is on smart material and some stuff isn't, okay? But today is nice and easy, and we're going to tap on mat because we're using our mats. This brings us to the Cricut Joy's prepare screen so we can see what it looks like. So here's our red layer. We can see how nice and neat it fits. And then I scroll over, and here is our blue layer, and we can confirm that our pen is attached to the blue layer. And again, it says right at the top, basic cut, and this is pen and basic cut. So this looks perfect. If it doesn't, you want to go to back and adjust it. Okay, go back. Like if you see your text just floating there on a gray mat, that means they're not attached. So we tap on next because we are ready. So we're on the make screen now. And this is, you can see our 2 mats here. The one that's selected is the one that we'll cut first. And the first one will be the trophy. The second one will be the one with the words. Though you can, if you select this one, it'll cut this one, okay? Or otherwise it'll just go in the order. And then down here we have set material. And these are like the popular ones. If you don't see what you want, you can tap on all materials. And this is everything that you can cut on the Joy. I'm going to cut cardstock, and I want medium cardstock. That is the go-to for most cardstocks. That's the setting I use for pretty much everything that's cardstock. And it's right here, medium cardstock, 80 pound. It doesn't matter if it's 65 pound, it still works great setting, okay? So regardless of whether it's 65 or 80 pound, you want this one. So tap on that. And then the other thing I want you to do is add some more pressure. It tends to just help make sure you have a nice clean cut. It's not going to hurt your mat. It's just going to result in success more often. To change your pressure, you want to tap on pressure right here and then choose more, just like that. And so now we go back. So now we can see that we've set it to medium cardstock and we have more pressure. Now, if we ever have to change it, like we accidentally selected the wrong one because, these are little buttons. You can just tap on edit again, and then you can choose it again. And I actually have it right here and under popular, so I can just tap that. And the same for more if you want to change that again. Everyone always asks me, why do you always pick more pressure? It just works better that way. It's one of those just trust me things. If for some reason you find that you don't need it, then you don't have to use it. But I just do it by default now. All right, one more thing. It says here, remember material settings. So if you do this, it won't ask you for every single mat that you do. So as long as all of your mats are the same material, you want to go ahead and toggle that on. You won't see this option on the older Explorer, the older Maker, I believe. So if you don't see it, don't be alarmed. It just kind of will remember it for you. And so I think that this is something they added. All right, and then at the bottom it says load tools and mats. So it tells us exactly what to do. It says load the fine point blade and clamp the clamp, right? The Cricut Joy has one clamp and the blade is in the clamp. If for some reason it's not, you want to put it into your clamp. So it's in there. Now, we are going to cut the red layer first, which is a cut first, and then it'll tell us to put in our pen. So we want to start with our blade. That is the right way of doing it. It says so right on the screen. And then it says load the material into the machine. So we need some material. Now you could use the pieces of cardstock that came with your Cricut Joy if you're doing this on your Joy, which looks like these two here. Can you see those two? But I'm actually going to just use a new piece of paper. Some of the paper that I showed you yesterday, the AC cardstock, and I will get a piece of red paper and a piece of blue paper just to match the colors on the screen so that you know that we're doing it the same. And I'm going to show you also how to trim it since we're focusing on the Joy right now. All right, so this is where the Cricut trimmer comes in really handy. So I am going to trim it so that it fits onto my Cricut Joy mat. And this is 4.5 inches wide. That's the max my material. So I just pull out the ruler on the side of the mat here. So I just put my paper in and I take it up to 4.5 inches on this ruler right here. So 4.5 inches there. And then I can cut it right here. So now it's 4.5 inches wide and it will fit onto my mat. Let's do the same thing for my piece of red cardstock. Now, if you're using the Cricut Explorer Maker, you don't have to cut your cardstock before you put it on, okay? I'm just doing this because we're using the Cricut Joy right now. So there's 4.5 inches right here on my ruler, right? This ruler that swung out right there. And I just slide it down to slice it off, and there is my 4.5 inches. So the trimmer is really useful when you are using the Joy because the mat is small. Okay, here is our mat. We take off the plastic cover, and this is the mat that came with the Joy, and we're going to cut the red. You don't actually have to trim it off if you don't want to. I'm not going to. You can just put it on here like this. Why do extra work if we don't need to? So I'm just putting it right onto my mat like this. Looks like this. So it's on the mat, right? And yeah, it's a little longer. It doesn't matter if it's longer. It is not important. All right, so this is ready for us to load. It says so right here on our Cricut. So I'm going to make sure it's under the guides on either side and push it in. And the rollers will just sort of suck it in for us. It'll push it all the way through to make sure that it's got room in the back and all that. That's important. Make sure you have that space behind your Cricut for your mat to move in and out. All right, so it is ready to go. All right, and it knows. You can see how it's changed on the screen. And now it says press go. So we're going to tap go right on the screen. So I'm tapping right here, right here. And it tells you it's preparing. And now it's going to start cutting. And so right now it's cutting out the trophy part of the design. And then we will switch to the pen and you'll see it do writing. Isn't that awesome? And you can see here on your screen that it's telling you the progress of your cut. Always useful, so you know how it's going. If you're using your phone or iPad, don't walk away while you're cutting. You need to stay right there. There's no physical connection between your Cricut and your machine, and it's just got Bluetooth. So if you were to, like, I don't know, get in your car and go away, it would lose the directions that it needs to tell it what to do. Okay, so stay right there and don't move away. It's important when you're using your mobile device to cut with. And so what you can see on the screen, it says it's done, but what I find is that what this really means is that it's finished sending the directions to the Cricut. Now it's cutting the outline around the card or certificate. Okay, and now it's actually done. And your screen tells you what to do. It says unload material, so we go ahead and tap OK. And it unloads it. And here it is. It says, I did it. Awesome. All right, so to get to the next, to get it off our mat, it's important that you flip your material, your mat over onto your mat like this, and then peel the mat away from your material. If you do it the other way around, you risk tearing things and it just doesn't come off so well. But I also purposely designed something that was a little bit challenging for you to get off your mat, because if I can't teach you this, then you don't know. So I want you to notice that as I'm taking it off the mat, it looks like maybe it's going to rip or something here. You see? This is a pretty intricate cut. There's a lot going on here, right? So this is where you either need to go carefully or use that spatula tool I told you about yesterday. This is the spatula tool. So if you don't have the spatula tool, what you'll want to do is loosen it up all around like this, right? So just come around, lifting that mat away from your material. And when you get to here, this section here, this is where it gets tricky. You're just going to want to use your finger to like lift it up, right? To make sure it doesn't just rip off. But if you have your spatula, you can just come in like this and actually pull it away like this, okay? So those are the two ways of doing it. All right, there's everything. So if you don't get a clean cut when you do this, like I have, this is a nice clean cut, see? If you don't get a clean cut, remember what I said yesterday about how important it is to have a sticky mat. So you might have already used your mat and it might not be sticky anymore. Maybe someone played with it at your house. I don't know. Maybe you're using cardstock that isn't great quality. There's a lot of reasons why you could have an issue. Maybe you selected light pressure, not more pressure. Maybe you've used your Cricut Joy already and your blade is dirty and you need to clean it, okay? So I have a whole Cricut cutting guide to get clean cuts over on my blog. It's at jennifermaker.com/Cricut cutting problems, I believe. And it goes through all those steps. So clean sticky mat, clean blade, quality cardstock, good design, all those things. But here it is. Doesn't that look cute? Nice clean cut. Here's our mat with all the little stars on it. And we can use our Cricut scraper to take them all off. Just like I showed you yesterday. So little red stars. So we'll want to move those out of the way or they will get back onto our mat. All right, so there is the front of our certificate looking awesome. Now we need to do our other color and our pen. And we have our blue layer that we cut somewhere around here. Oh, here it is, right? Here's our blue layer. So again, we're going to put it onto our mat. It doesn't matter. You can do either side. It's just not important. In fact, it's a good idea that if you've been doing one side, you turn around so that you use the other side so that you're using it more evenly. Always press it down though, okay? And then Cricut Design Space is telling us it's time to do the blue layer. And it tells us at the bottom here that we need to load our black pen into the clamp. So if you are using the Maker or Explorer, the Maker, the Explorer 2 and the original Maker also come with pens. The new Maker 3 and the new Explorer 3 don't, so you'll have to go get yourself a Cricut pen that fits into an Explorer or Maker. They're interchangeable. But the Cricut Joy pens are not interchangeable with the Explorers and Makers. So here's the pen that came with the Joy. And to change it, we open the clamp, we pull out our blade. You can, there are some like little magnet things over here. You can kind of set them here, but usually it's sort of in your way because the mat is moving in and out. So I usually just set it off to the side here so I don't lose it. And then we take the cap off of the pen like this, and we put it right into our clamp like this, and it doesn't snap or anything. We just have it seated there, close our clamp, and we put the cap back on the pen so we don't lose it. And then here is our material all ready to go, and we just put it up against the rollers. There we go. And the Cricut says it's loaded and it's ready. There's one thing I forgot to mention, though, this is important. Whenever I go to use a pen, I always make sure that the ink is flowing. So if you just took this out of your box and your pen was like stored tip up, the ink might not be flowing yet. So let's actually test that right now. So I'll just open this up. It's okay to do that. Take it out. And what I usually do, let's find a corner that you can see right down here in this corner that I'm never going to use. I just make a little scribble to make sure it's writing, and you can see here it is. Okay, so always just test it, because if you don't test it, then what can happen is your first few letters are not writing because it had to flow, right? So, but I've been storing my pens tip down. So our pen is working, so we're good to go. So it says to press go. So let's press go and start writing. So you can see it writing, but you can also see that it is writing like the letters are a little different. It's not like writing, it's writing from the top down, but it's turned on its side, right? So you're not going to see it right in the order that we would write with our hands. And actually what it does is there's an algorithm in there that determines the most efficient way to write the letters so that the pen moves less and it's faster. So don't be surprised if you see it like miss a letter while it's doing it. It's just its algorithm that determined the speed, like where to do each letter so that it was as quick as possible. But isn't it cool that it's writing? It's currently got like the last part of the writing there. All right, so, and this will look the same whether like it'll write like this on the Maker or the Explorer. However, it might not be turned on its side like this. So on the Maker and Explorer, it'll probably do it the other way. And I'll try to do at least one before we end today's class. But it'll do it the like normal way that you'd see it. But on a Joy, because of the smaller size, it needs to turn it, 90 degrees so that you'll know why it's doing it like that way. That is so that it will fit onto it. It now says, "Congratulations to Innifer." You can see it's doing my signature right now. Everyone always asks how I got my signature in, and I made that in Illustrator, which is a completely separate program. It's the program that I use to design my SVG files. So I have an entire course on how to do SVG files that's completely separate from Cricut Kickoff. It's called Cut Above. So if you are curious about making your own SVG cut files, you can get on the waiting list for Cut Above. But that's how I did it. And got it to write it out too. It's actually pretty awesome. So, but that I teach how to make SVGs and Cut Above. Okay, so it's finished with the writing. So we're going to just open up the clamp, take out the pen. Be sure to put the cap back on the pen. That's important. Remember, we want to store our pens either in this orientation or this orientation, not the other way around. All right, now we need to find our blade again and put that back in. So it goes back in the clamp, and don't forget to close the clamp. And now it's time to cut. And when we're ready, we tap on go in the lower right corner. So just tapped on that, and now it's going to cut around it. This is pretty quick. There's 4 stars and then the outline. There we go. All right, so it tells us it's finished and it's done. And then we tap OK to unload it. There we go. Ta-da, we're finished. All right, so it's unloaded. We just can pull it out. By the way, though, if you were like, okay, well, what do I do now? You can just tap back, and there you are back on your canvas. Make sure you always save your work. That's a big deal. Big deal. Save your work early and often, as I say. Now, as I said, this ink is permanent after it dries. It's probably not quite dry. It's probably pretty close, though. Should be fine for us to flip over and peel off. So again, we flip our material over onto our surface, and we peel our material away. We peel our mat away from our material. This is how we avoid tears and curling and all manners of icky things. So there we go. Right, see that one there didn't punch out? This is a great time to use our weeding tools. Or if you have a lot of them, you can use your weeding tool to poke them out, okay? You could probably just do it with your fingernail though. There you go. So there is the certificate and the way that it works. Oh, there's one more star right here too. Okay, so we flip this over so it's with the mirror image, and this goes here like this. So it just goes right under these little tabs like that. Oops, there's one more here to get out. One more here, and and here. If for any reason this doesn't fit, that means that when you did some resizing and you changed the sizes of it. Okay, I hear people say that too. Like, it doesn't fit the way it's supposed to. You go back and start over again because somehow you resized it wrong. But this is what it looks like. Isn't it cute? So congratulations to Jennifer Maker. Yes, that G does look like that. It's the style of the font. It's supposed to be like a typewriter font, right? Typewriters had some funky characters. Congratulations to Jennifer Maker for completing Cricut Kickoff. And on the other side, it says, I did it. I want everyone to do this. This one project teaches you so many things about your Cricut. This one little project, it won't take long. It'll be much faster than just me talking you through it. And it will put you into a good position to do lots of other projects. And then I want you to take a picture of it. Take a picture of it with your Cricut. Whatever one it is. You can put yourself in the picture too. Come to my group and share it with me. I will see it and heart it because I love to see those pictures. I love to see them. If you don't, you can put if you don't want to put your full name in there, you can blur it out, put someone else's name in there. I don't care. But I love to see your certificates. Okay. All right. So don't forget to put your plastic back on your mat so that it's protected. Let's see. And that is our lesson for today. Make sure you clean off your mat, of course. But I said I would do one more. So I am going to do, we have 4 other machines. I want to show you on one more machine. All right, so everything is on our canvas still. So we just need to select the Explore Air 2 from our list. All right, so we've selected that. Here's our design. We tap Make It. There's it. Everything is there. We're going to tap Next. There is our, and it wants to do the red layer first. So it says, now I should check Bluetooth too. So let's load this in. Our blade is missing. Probably because I was messing with it when we installed it. So make sure your blade is in. You see me doing that? The blade's in there. And we'll go ahead and put our pen in there for when we want to use it. Let's check and make sure we are connected by Bluetooth. Bluetooth is on. It says it's connected. Cricut Air 2, I see it right here. It's like kind of in the middle. All right, so that's good. So we go to Cricut. Everything looks good. Cardstock. I don't need to edit my tool. So that, by the way, someone asked me yesterday how to edit tools. That button right there does it. Okay, so we have the fine point blade in there and the mat is in here. There's the other one. So did you see how I swiped that there? All right, so this looks good to go. So let's go ahead and cut this one. Can you see that okay? And this is the Cricut Explore Air 2. So the main differences between the Joy and the Explore Air 2 is that it won't ask you, this is true of the Maker as well, it won't ask you if you want to cut on a mat or without a mat. It just goes right to the make screen. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, if you use the Maker, the Explore 3, or the Maker 3, it will ask you if mat or on mat. If you have any questions about using Cricut Design Space app on your iPhone or iPad, please let me know. Leave your question below this video or ask in our Cricut Crafters group at jennifermaker.com/CricutCrafters, where you can get help and guidance from hundreds of thousands of Cricut crafters just like you. Now, if you want to also learn how to use Cricut Design Space on a desktop and laptop or an Android tablet or phone or even the Chromebook, because they are quite different, I have lessons on those devices as well. Get links to those classes at CricutKickoff.com. And if you'd like to learn more about Cricut Design Space, then I invite you over to my blog at jennifermaker.com for hundreds of free Cricut tutorials and projects. I also have a helpful guide called the Cricut Playbook. Here it is. It's called the Cricut Coach Playbook that contains dozens of cheat sheets for Design Space. This is a very popular guide that has been in use by over 300,000 Cricut owners at the time I'm recording this video. And they tell me they find it really helpful, for which I'm very grateful. If you'd like to learn more about the Cricut Coach Playbook and get a free page for it, just go to CricutCoach.com. I also offer Cricut classes, workshops, and courses over at MakerAcademy.com. Come visit and sign up for something fun today. Thank you so much for joining me for your Cricut Kickoff. I hope this has helped you get on the path to success, and you'll be making many, many more wonderful things with your cutting machine. And if you do, please share photos in my group. I love, love, love to see your creations. And don't forget to show me your certificate. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love.